Hi, welcome to Fast Forward EV. It's January 2023 and it's time to reveal my new car. So last year I went through a number of bolts, getting rid of my own, getting rid of my wife's, getting a replacement for my wife's. So we were a one EV family, looking forward to getting our second EV when we were both back to work. And now we are both back to work. And so I've been working on a replacement. But the replacement looking goes back way farther than this year. It goes back way farther than 2022. It goes all the way back to 2021 because I couldn't seem to stop placing reservations on basically every new EV that was announced as it was announced, even pickup trucks, maybe especially pickup trucks. At one time, I had reservations for Ford F-150, the Chevy Silverado, the Rivian, and the Cybertruck. And I came to my senses in mid 2022 and I canceled all those reservations because none of them were ever going to happen for me. Because one of the things for me with EVs is I want to stay towards the bottom of the price range. Not only because it's economical to and I don't want to stretch my budget, but because I just think that's where the action needs to occur and that's where my interests are. Started off with a Bolt, which was and remains the cheapest EV you can get in the United States. But now the next one up the rung is an ID4. And so here we are in an ID4. It took a long time to get here, to get to this point. Um, and just in ID4 reservations, I had a total of 4 of them. Yeah, you heard me right. I said 4 ID4 reservations over time. Making the reservation, confirming the reservation, locking the reservation for production, and then canceling the reservation. That occurred 4 times. And the vehicle I'm sitting in front of right now is none of those cars. So how did we get there? Well, in the end of 2020, I put a reservation down for the ID4 first edition when it was announced. And my notes here say that was locked for production in March of 2021. I got a test drive of the car not soon after that at a local VW dealer. And based on that and the things that were going on at the time, I wasn't jazzed about the car. The car was much bigger than I expected. When I saw it, I was like, oh, that's rather large. The interior is gorgeous. I love the interior. I love the quality of the construction, and it feels so solid, which reminds me of my old Challenger, which was very nice. But the other thing I really couldn't get around, besides its size, was the infotainment system. Now, I want to say specifically the infotainment system, not the touch controls. I actually don't have a problem with those. Most people do. I think most people think they have a problem with the touch controls, but what they actually have a problem with was the latency of the infotainment system. That's not the touch controls fault. That's the UI's lack of responsiveness. And that's really bad in the early IDs, ID4. I'm sure it was a problem in the ID3 as well at that time. So that was such a turnoff that even though I enjoyed the drive, and the car felt super solid, I could tell it was a little slower than the Bolt with just rear wheel drive, 200 horsepower motor, same amount of horsepower and torque basically as a Bolt, but in a much heavier car. So all those factors, I decided I'll cancel that reservation and move on. And then all the truck stuff happened, and I thought about, am I a truck guy? No, I'm not a truck guy, but wouldn't it be absolutely hilarious for me to get a giant EV truck? And at the time, they were promising $40,000 F-150s, which obviously I knew was a long shot of ever actually getting one at that price, but I tried. Didn't happen. Don't care. Not a truck guy. So what happened with the ID4? Well, in February of 2022, I reserved another one. And I'm not sure if I remember exactly what made me do it other than dearth of options. Um, and that was locked for production in July of 2022. Then in August, the the Inflation Reduction Act passed, and it lost its tax rebate because it's made in Germany. So I canceled that order. So that's two reservations and cancellations. I immediately reordered a new US built ID4. And over the course of these reservations, I've gone back and forth on whether I wanted all wheel drive or not. But again, keeping with the idea of it being as cheap as possible, I went for rear wheel drive, but the top trim. And that would be the ID4S, not the Pro S, just the S. So it's got the small battery pack, but all the S premium interior features. And that was the second to least expensive way you could get the car. I was really looking forward to that. Rear wheel drive only, small battery pack. It's going to be the longest range of all the ID4s because of the highest efficiency, rather, not longest range because of the small battery pack. But I figured I could live with losing 50 miles of range with the faster charging of it compared to the Bolt and everything else. I was really looking forward to that car. Picked it with the red color, which they charge extra for, but car's got to be red, just has to be. Um, and then about a month after doing that, um, things weren't moving along, and people were wondering, are they going to build these small battery pack ones before the end of the year or not? And the end of the year mattered because the tax rebate was going to get cut in half when the battery component restrictions went into place at the beginning of 2023. Since then, those have been delayed, but I didn't know that at the time. So I went ahead and reserved yet another ID4. So now I have two active reservations, and they both went to order status, locked for production about a month later. And it was just a race. I was just watching them every day, see which one is going to show up at my dealership first. Whatever one shows up, that's the one I'm buying. And I got in contact with my dealer, and they were keeping me informed of what they were seeing in the ordering system. And it seemed that the S was moving along. The rear wheel drive Pro was not. Uh, and as we got within 2 weeks at the end of the year, I began to panic. And I started searching all over for who has an ID4 that I could buy. And pretty much I would take anything if it was rear wheel drive and was silver. That was pretty much my, you know, bottom requirements because you couldn't get red without going to the S. And when you go to S, the only ones available were all wheel drive with a big battery pack. And it's basically a car that's $10,000 more than what I had on ordered with my S. Well, nothing showed up. Nothing showed up. Nothing showed up. And then finally, my dealer, the one I've been working with, got a red all-wheel drive Pro S. So it's the exact car I ordered, but big battery pack, all-wheel drive, $10,000 more than I wanted to spend. I bit my nails for 2 days, and then I went out there and saw them, and we did a deal, and now it's mine. Yeah! So those reservations, other two reservations, those are now canceled, and I have an all-wheel drive, big battery pack ID4. So it's only been a couple of weeks since I got it, but might as well give my impressions of it so far. I love the styling. I think it looks handsome. It's not a gorgeous car. It doesn't make you drool or anything, but the red, I think, certainly makes it pop. The 20-inch wheels make it look substantial. Uh, so yeah, it's got a physical presence to it because of its size and the way it's shaped. And I like that it has a bit of a rear tapered off haunch, so to speak, kind of like the Dodge Challenger has. You know, it's got a bit of hips on it, and you can see those in the side view mirrors when you're driving. And if you're seeing that red haunches behind me, again, kind of gives me that Dodge Challenger feeling. And then performance-wise, with the all-wheel drive, it still off the line. It's just tweaked to not give you full beans when you punch the accelerator. It winds itself up. You can feel there's more there than it's giving you. And it doesn't kick in till 20, 25 miles an hour and then it gets going. As far as the interior goes, I am really loving the minimalist interior. I think, and I've thought this all along, that just from a basic design standpoint, they've got the minimalism dialed pretty good. You don't just have one screen in the center like on a Model 3 or Y. You do have a console in front of you with gauge information and stuff like that. So that's good. You do only have touch controls, but they don't bother me, especially now with the updated software. We're at 3.1 on the US spec ID4s. The responsiveness is there, so when you touch a button, something happens. And I don't mind that they're light touch buttons. I think they're fine. I know that most people don't like them, and I won't object when they put some physical buttons back in. That won't bother me. But the aesthetic they went for, I think, works. And it's simply the software that has let them down, not the design and not the hardware. There is one glaring hardware problem with the touch button design, and everybody knows what that is, and that is the fact that the audio volume slider and the temperature sliders below the touchscreen are not backlit, and everything else is. The touchscreens on the steering wheel, the touchscreens for the static buttons for climate, mode, menu, and emergency, and I think there's one other thing. Those are backlit. Everything's backlit. Every touch surface in the car is backlit, including the overhead lights. But the volume control and the temperature control, the two things that the driver and the passenger probably want to use the most often. If you're driving at night, you cannot see them. And it seems something that would be so easy to fix. We're 3 years into the production of this car. This is the third world factory making this car. The sourcing of the parts for this must be from multiple vendors at this point. Why can't they call up one of them and say, hey, you think you could add a backlight to that panel? And they'd probably go, yeah, we wondered why the heck you didn't have one. So I'm hoping there'll be some aftermarket fix for that, even if you just put a small light pipe right under the touchscreen that just illuminates that area. It's something you could do aftermarket and with third party. There's got to be some kind of solution to that because it is a functional problem with the vehicle when driving at night. I've been whinging a long time about that one thing I don't like about the car. Have I said enough about what I do like? I love the ride. I love the quietness of the interior, the thunk of the doors. It feels substantial. It feels real. The seats are good. The driving position is great. You can see everything fine. What else can we say about the ID4 and what I've done here? Well, just again, that I'm happy I'm here. I'm $10,000 farther in the hole than I wished to be. But I know that over the years, I will be happy that I have an all-wheel drive EV and that I have a big battery EV. Obviously, there's going to be plenty more videos about me and this car Mostly about this car. You don't need to know anything about me. I'm not interesting. I'm not electric much. So my wife will be home from the grocery store in the Bolt soon, and she's probably going to laugh at me to see this camera set up in the driveway. So I should probably get moving along, get on with my day. I hope to see you on the next one. Hi, I'm Scott. Oh, look at the camera. It's right there. The camera's right there. Okay, who knows if any of this is useful? I gotta get up, go back there and look at this and see if any of it's any good. Make adjustments because I am my cameraman. My own sucky cameraman am I.